The Odsy Network is a secure, programmable, and trustless access control layer to all of Web3, empowering a new wave of real-world use cases. Odsy solves the Web3 silo problem by allowing builders to utilize dWallets for their access control logic. A dWallet stands for a dynamic decentralized wallet. A dWallet is a programmable and transferable signing mechanism that lives on the Odsy blockchain. A dWallet has an address on any other blockchain, can sign transactions on those networks, and can be programmed to enforce any access control logic. Let's dive deeper into the cryptography behind dWallets. To implement a dWallet, Odsy utilizes a field of cryptography called MPC, multi-party computation. With MPC, multiple parties can perform a computation together without sharing their secret information. A common example for MPC is allowing a group of people to calculate their average salary without revealing their own salaries. On Web3, MPC can be used to allow a threshold T out of N parties to generate a valid signature together. The T can be smaller than N, in which case not all parties are required to generate a valid signature. Or it can be equal to N, meaning all parties must generate the signature together. That subfield of MPC is called Threshold Signature Scheme, or TSS. Existing threshold signature schemes that are used to sign transactions on blockchains today are very limited by their performance and can only support a very small number of parties. The signature generated in this process will be verifiable against a public key, just like a signature created using a private key. The public key, which is usually generated from a private key, is created between the parties in a process called DKG, Distributed Key Generation. This allows every party to hold a secret share of the private key, instead of having one private key. It's easy to think about secret shares as pieces of the private key, and that the more pieces you have, the closer you get to the private key. However, TSS is more powerful than that because it's cryptographically secure. Any secret share or any combination of secret shares that don't meet the threshold have no meaning until the threshold is met and can't be used to compromise or weaken the security. Using TSS, dWallets can sign transactions that are verifiable against a public key without a private key being held. With dWallets on Odsy, there are two parties, and both of them are required to sign a transaction, the user and the Odsy Network. The Odsy Network can't sign without the user, so the user assets are protected against collusion, and the user can't sign without the Odsy Network, so the dWallet can enforce access control policies in a trustless way. That's called a two-party computation, or 2PC. So every dWallet is created with a DKG process on Odsy and has two secret shares, the user share and the Odsy Network share. However, the Odsy Network is not a single entity. It's a large-scale permissionless blockchain that can have thousands of validators who may join and leave at will and must reach a consensus of at least 2/3. How could that be reflected in one single share? To solve that, the Odsy team has developed a new MPC algorithm called 2PC-MPC. This algorithm can be thought of as a nested MPC algorithm, where a signature is created by a two-party computation between the user and the Odsy Network, and the Odsy Network is operated through a multi-party computation of at least 2/3 of the Odsy validators. So for a dWallet to sign a transaction, the user and 2/3 of the validators need to agree to sign. This trustless and permissionless setup of the Odsy Network secret share, with hundreds or even thousands of participants supporting massive amounts of signature requests from many dWallets, was not possible with the performance limitations of existing TSS implementations in Web3. The 2PC-MPC algorithm makes dWallets possible with a few breakthroughs. The first breakthrough is decentralization. In existing TSS protocols, every participant must communicate with every other participant. That is called unicast communication, and it limits decentralization because it becomes increasingly difficult with every additional participant. The 2PC-MPC algorithm replaces that with broadcast communication, allowing for potentially thousands of participants in a very decentralized process. The second breakthrough is scalability. With existing TSS protocols, participants must sign transactions one by one. However, the 2PC-MPC algorithm supports batching, so many transactions from different dWallets could be signed simultaneously. The final breakthrough is balancing security and flexibility in a permissionless setting. For a user's assets to be secure against collusion, they must be a part of the MPC process. In existing TSS protocols, that means that every change in the other parties also requires the user, which makes them impractical in permissionless settings where validators can join and leave at will. With the 2PC-MPC algorithm, a blockchain can operate as one party in a completely autonomous and flexible way, regardless of the amount of users on the network. 2PC-MPC means that for the first time, thousands of parties can perform threshold signatures together with users, join and leave without any user involvement, support massive amounts of signature requests, and tie the security guarantees of the MPC signing to the consensus of a decentralized network. dWallets are the building blocks of the Odsy Network and are the driving force behind a new wave of Web3 solutions that are connected to real-world use cases. To learn more about Odsy and dWallets, visit odyssey.xyz.